Holy Moses, turns out all this time we have been picking on the wrong guy. It is not Paul Ryan who wants to gut Medicare. Who knew? It's the President of the United States. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and that's the thing about videotape. It always comes back to bite you. And in this case, put no less than the President in a real Medicare predicament. The man who claims that Romney Ryan want to savage Medicare was setting a cleaver to the program years ago before this team ever came to be. Listen for yourself from an ABC interview when Jake Tapper wanted to make sure he heard what he thought he heard from the President.
Are you willing to pledge that whatever cuts in Medicare are being made to fund health insurance, 1/3 of it, that you will veto anything that tries to undo that?
Yes. I actually have said that it is important for us to make sure this thing is deficit neutral without tricks. I said I wouldn't sign a bill that didn't meet that criteria.
Let's be clear. Cuts in Medicare to pay in savings for the President's health care bill, soon law. Now, someone better tell David Axelrod about this, because he has been going around the country angrily challenging Republicans' claims it is the President who has been gutting Medicare.
Mr. Axelrod, you've said that the Ryans' budget would end Medicare as we know it, but at the same time, the President has cut $700 billion from Medicare to fund his own health care plan. How is this any different?
You know, Anthony, you're repeating what is a misstatement by the Republicans. I would call it a lie. You know, the story of Little Red Riding Hood, and Grandma's looking at the wolf, and she says, "What big eyes you have." Grandma should say, "What big lies you have."
Well, it gets worse, because if the inquiring folks at townhall.com are right, there is a lot wrong and a lot inconsistent with what the White House has been saying and promising actually for years now, like how health care reform would not add to the deficit, just as Paul Ryan himself predicted years ago. Its skyrocketing price tag would add to the deficit. It has, it is, it will. And like healthcare costs coming down for Americans, now expanding at a far faster clip than if Democrats had simply not passed this monstrosity to begin with. So many lies, so little time. To Town Hall's political editor, Guy Benson, on why now is the time to set the record straight. Medicare is imploding and just exploding, and no less than the President is the guy who first lit the match. Guy, this is amazing.
Neil, this is really big today. And there's a couple videos out of Obama today, just not from the President himself, as we just saw, and also David Axelrod, but other people involved with his campaign. I think what we're seeing is a belated reaction by Democrats. They're starting to realize, hang on just a second. The playbook of yesteryear no longer applies. They used to say for decades, Republicans want to cut your Medicare, and they scared old people with that playbook. Well, there was this little thing called Obamacare, which has flipped this script.
Yeah, but
I think the Democrats are finally waking up.
As you astutely pointed out, I had a lot of votes. There's also this little thing called tape, videotape, or whatever we use today. What is it? It's just a digital something. Anyway, it's all there. And the President must have known, his people must have known. You know, in an interview with Jake Tapper a few years ago, you were saying that your Medicare savings were going to justify the cost-neutral nature of your health care plan.
Right. So you have the Republicans in several new ads, including one that is airing across the country in swing states from the Romney campaign, saying, "Dear seniors, President Obama robbed $700 billion out of Medicare and used that not to shore up the Medicare long-term solvency issue, but to then partially fund his unaffordable, unpopular, risky new Obamacare program." And it's so funny watching that clip of David Axelrod, because he says, "Oh, what big lies you have, Republicans. This is a Republican lie." And as you just said, that's the tape. Go back to a very unlikely source for Republican lies. Barack Obama confirming exactly what Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan are saying. And this is not, I think, a position that Democrats expected themselves to be in. But here they are, and they've got nowhere to turn. And the other little detail here is they have no plans to actually fix Medicare, which is going bankrupt in 12 years, according to the government's own accountants.
You know, nevertheless, and I don't know if this is fair, it is what it is. When people are polled on the subject, who's a better friend to entitlements? Democrats generally get 8 out of 10 nods for that. Republicans are always these evil, selfish, Scrooge-like scoundrels. I don't know what it is. But when we have a record of saying that if you want to say they're setting a cleaver to Medicare, it started with the president picking it up. Does he get a pass on this because either people find it too hard to believe, or
Nope.
it fills the narrative that it's really more Republicans than Democrats who hate this thing?
No, I don't think he gets a pass at all. And the biggest issue here, I think, is, and I love how Obamacare once again is coming back to bite this president. You saw the clip that we played at the very beginning of the segment. President Obama said, "I pledged I would never sign a bill that added one dime to the deficit without using any tricks." And as Paul Ryan has shown and will continue to show on the campaign trail, there were all kinds of tricks employed to get to that number, including this big double counting issue. So if you're a senior, Neil, you're watching the ad that Republicans are running and saying, oh gosh, $700 billion cut from Medicare by a Democratic president, that's bad. And now worse, he's using that money to pay for this other thing, Obamacare, that I already don't like. Seniors are some of the most opposed group and folks to Obamacare because of the rationing board for seniors that it sets up, called the IPAB. I just think this is an issue where the Republicans are not going to let Obama get a pass. They are going to bombard the airwaves, particularly in Florida, with these exact ads, and they happen to be true, which is a problem for Axelrod and company.
Well, it hurts when your boss is the guy who's saying those
Refuting
words.
you.
Right.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Guy Benson, thank you very much. Always great having you. Townhall.com political editor.